8.3, I'm going to pull up my end here. I'm trying to get set up. We are multiplying polynomials today, though. So as you can kind of see from what we've got here, we've got different groups of polynomials that are in parentheses. And in previous problems that we've done, like a couple days ago and maybe yesterday we did some, I got to see here. Actually, we didn't do one. But in 8.1, we did some where I basically said the parentheses don't really matter because everything was being added. Well, in this case, the parentheses do matter because there's no addition or subtraction symbol between the two parentheses. So parentheses do matter on this. Let's see here. Let's get the goal figured out first of all. Today's goal is to multiply polynomials and simplify if necessary. Oops. Multiply polynomials. And simplify if necessary. Okay. So basically what we're doing right now is we're doing the distributive property, but there's two terms that we're distributing instead. So for example, this is just, there's a couple different ways that teachers teach this, and you might have heard of something called FOIL. And some teachers teach it that way, other teachers don't. I'm basically going to be teaching it that way, but basically what FOIL means is you're going to multiply the first terms together, the outside terms, the inside terms, and the last terms. So what that would look like down here would be your first terms, that would be how you would distribute that, your outside terms, so the 3a and the negative 2, the inside terms, and the last terms. So basically we're doing 4 little multiplication problems, and we're just going to simplify it at the end. And that's basically how I'm going to do it. But if you wanted to write down FOIL, you can. I don't see anything bad about it. A lot of teachers don't like to teach FOIL method because they don't like acronyms. They don't like kids to remember what to do and not why to do it. But if you understand that all we're doing is distributive property, just multiple times, that's exactly what foiling is. So FOIL would be first, outside, inside, and last. So if we're doing the first terms, it'd be this one and this one right there. Look up at the board and take a peek at our first terms. When I say first, I mean the first ones in the parentheses. So 3a times a. And if you wanted to maybe draw a little mark showing that you're multiplying those, that's usually what I do. So 3a times a would be 3a squared. The 3 is just tagging along. You multiply the a's, you get a squared. Okay, let's continue. Let's do the outside terms. The outside terms are these terms. Make sure you're looking at the board for this. The outside terms are those. One's in the front and one's in the back, so that's why we call them the outside. 3a times negative 2 is negative 6 for 3 times negative 2, and then just that a tags along. Inside terms. The inside terms are this one and this one. So for the inside terms, we have 4, a positive 4, times an a, and that's just what we're going to have to keep as our answer. And let's do the last terms now. The last terms would be those two. They're both at the end of their little parentheses, so those would be the last ones. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. And that's it. We're basically done. The only thing that I have to kind of point out here is that in our goal, we said we have to simplify if necessary. So that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to simplify basically these. Those two things can kind of come together. Negative 6a and positive 4a. I'm going to rewrite this one. Negative 6a and positive 4a would be a negative 2a if I added those together. Minus 8. That's our final answer for the first one. Okay, I'm going to try to go a little bit quicker. I really broke that one down. But basically, first terms, last terms, or not last term, sorry. First, outside, inside, and last. So that's what we're going to be doing here. First terms on the next one. X times x is x squared. Those are my first ones. Outside terms. 2 times x. Well, that's just 2x. Inside terms. That's a 3x. And last terms, 3 times 2 is 6. We can again simplify a little bit because those can come together. So x squared plus 5x plus 6 is my final answer because 2x plus 3x equals 5x. Continuing. 4b and b. Well, that would be a 4b squared. 4b times b is 4b squared. We're multiplying those b's together to get b squared. 4b times negative 2. Well, that would be a negative 8b. I'm going to run out of room on my iPad. We have to do the inside terms now. We did the first ones and we did the outside, so we're on the inside now. Negative 5 and b is a negative 5b. And the last terms are negative 5 and negative 2. And that would be a positive, because negative times negative is positive, 10. That's it. Then we can combine these again. 4b squared minus 13b plus 10. That's the answer for that one. Now would be a good time to pause and ask questions if you have them. All right, we're back. 4x minus 3. This is going to get distributed in here, and this is kind of why they don't use FOIL, because now what we have is 3 terms. And so that would add more difficulty to just using the FOIL method. We just have to distribute everything now. So basically, this is how I set this one up. The 4x has to go to everything, distribute to everything. The negative 3 also has to go to everything. So we're actually going to end up with 6 terms here. So let's start. The 4x to the 2x squared would be an 8x to the third. 4x and 5x would be 20x squared. 4x and negative 1 is negative 4x. And that's the first ones. Now we can go with the second ones, and I like to draw these under to keep them a little bit separated here. Negative 3 times 2x. Well, that's going to be a negative 6x squared. So I'm actually just going to continue my equation down here. Negative 6x squared. Next one's negative 3 plus 5x. That's a negative 15x. And then negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. This is one long equation, except I had to divide it into 2 lines because I kind of ran out of room. But we're just going to combine what we can. Let's look at the exponents. So 8x to the third. That's got to come first. So we're done with that one. We've got 2 in here that can be combined. So this one here can be combined with this one here. 20x squared and negative 6x squared would be a positive 14x squared. Then we combine this one with this one. And we have negative 19x plus 3. That plus 3 is just going to go at the end. That's not going to combine with anything. That's it. Next one, this is another one that you might see. It's kind of the FOIL method a little bit. But what we have here is our first term and our last term. So let's just start it out. First term, x times x is x squared. Outside terms. Outside terms are x times 5. That's just a 5x. Our inside terms are negative 5 and x. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. And our last terms are negative 25. Well, what I see here is that we have a positive 5x and a negative 5x, so those are actually just going to cancel out. And this is what we're left with. 4 left. We can do this. 4 left here. So, all right, let's start at number 6. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. So those were, I did my first terms. I'm going to do the outside now. So 2x times 3. 2x times 3 is 6x. So we did the first term. We did the outside terms. We have the inside terms now. Negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. And let's do our last terms. Negative 3 times positive 3 is negative 9. And we have another case where these things are going to cancel out. So we'll have 4x squared minus 9. All right. Now number 7. Number 7 is one that lots of people are going to get wrong on the test, because what they're going to do is they're going to think that they can just distribute that exponent of 2 into each part. But that actually is incorrect. This is kind of a special case. It's a special example of things that sometimes go wrong. This is how I would approach this situation here. I would just rewrite this as 2 separate sets of parentheses. So 2x minus 7 and a 2x minus 7. If they're being multiplied together, that's why we got that squared up at top. So this is how it would start it. Then it's just the FOIL method. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. That's the first terms. The outside terms are negative 14x. The inside terms are negative 14x as well. And the last terms are positive 49. We can combine these middle parts again, and we get 4x squared minus 28x plus 49. Last one. 2x plus y. I'm going to separate this one as well. 2x plus y. I just split it up into 2 separate parts. There's 2 of them. We know that because we have an exponent. It's squared. So that's what we'll do first. Next. Let's see. So 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times y, that's what I'm looking at right now, the outside terms basically. So I can't really multiply those things, so it's just going to have to stay 2xy. And then my inside terms here are y and 2x, so it's going to be a 2, an x, and a y again. And that's kind of tricky. You could write it y2x, but that's really not how you should write it. You should write it 2xy. Make sure everything's like in alphabetical order. That way we can kind of tell that these are the same thing. We have a 2, an x, and a y being multiplied there. And then the last one here is just our last terms, y times y, which is y squared. Combine what you can, which is basically just these 2 things, because these things have both an x and a y. I can't combine an x with a y or anything like that. So this is actually going to end up as 4x squared plus, well, 2xy plus 2xy is 4xy plus y squared. And that's it for that one. That's a tough question. Maybe pause and go through if you have questions on that one right now, or on any of the other ones either. So pause before we get to number 9. Okay, let's move on to number 9. First of all, what I see is 2 sets of foiling separated by a little subtraction symbol there. And remember, addition and subtraction basically separates these up into different polynomials, or different monomials and polynomials. And so that's basically a separation is what I'm saying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first FOIL here, and then I'm going to FOIL here, and I'm just going to FOIL on this one as well. And I'm just going to see what happens. So 4x times 2x is the first one I'm going to start with. 4x times 2x is 8x squared. My outside terms in the front here are 4x times 3, that's 12x. My inside terms are negative 1 times 2x would be a negative 2x. And my last terms would be a negative 3. So that's basically the first one. And then there's a subtraction symbol. I'm going to just keep it in parentheses for right now and put my subtraction symbol after it. I wonder if I can kind of move over a little bit. I'm kind of running out of room. Okay, so I'm actually going to, I might have to rewrite it because I'm going to run out of room. So let me quick rewrite this. Okay, I think I saved myself a little bit of space now. Okay, so let's finish this up. I'm going to put this one in parentheses as well because basically this multiplication symbol is saying we're subtracting everything that's over here. So everything on this side is going to get subtracted once we're done foiling it. So let's do the 2x and the x first. That'd be a 2x squared. Next, I need my outside terms. Then I need my inside terms. And my last terms. So if you had trouble coming up with those numbers, or where I came up with them, make sure you raise your hand and ask. But that's the gist of that. Then the next thing we got to worry about, and we did this on 8.1. There was an example on your 8.1 note guide. When you have a bunch of polynomials being added and subtracted, and you have a minus sign in between, that negative's got to go to everything inside. So I actually have to distribute that negative to everything now. But that can be done pretty quickly. So I'm going to do that. So the 8x squared plus 12x minus 2x minus 3. That was where we started, and this was in parentheses. I'm going to tell you right now, after we distribute that negative, we won't need the parentheses anymore, but the negative there kind of throws it off, so we do need it. We need the parentheses for right now. If I distribute the negative in, I'm going to turn this to a plus sign because the negative is getting distributed in now. I'll have negative 2x, a positive 3x, a positive 18x, and a negative 27. So basically all of those in there switched signs because that negative went to everything. And our last step is to just combine. Ooh, I forgot my x squared, sorry. And I didn't combine these yet, and I can do that as well right now. Or yeah, I could have done them before this step, but I'll do it right now because they're the same. So let's just do that. So 8x squared. This is a 10x. So 12 and negative 2 is positive 10. And then a minus 3 plus a negative 2x squared. And I'll keep these in parentheses. Plus, this is going to be 21x minus 27. And we're on to the final step, finally. So the 8x squared and the negative 2x squared. We can combine these two things now because everything is being added. Remember before, we couldn't combine things up here, for example, because not everything was being added. There wasn't an addition there. So as soon as there's an addition right in between these things, change the color of my highlighter. There needs to be an addition between those, or these, or up here, there needs to be an addition between those. And once there's an addition, like we have down here, we have an addition, parentheses can get dropped, and we can just combine whatever we want. So the 8x and the negative 2x would just be a 6x squared. I can also combine this with this. 10x and 21x would be a 31x, sorry. 31x. And then the last one here would be a negative 30. And that is it. That was a lot of work, but I mean, look how much it got simplified. That's a lot of hard work there. Okay, that's it for that lesson. Make sure you ask questions before you move on to the assignment, if you have questions. If not, that's all I have for you right now.